Quatrina news has pretty much focused on the war on Iran since its very inception, but now we are going to be expanding it a little bit, but still pretty much Iran is sort of the epicenter of everything that is happening in the region. I want to start out today by talking about a terrible incident of terrorism that took place in Pakistan's southwestern Balochistan province, which actually borders Iran. And this is not the first time this has happened, I should reinforce that. But a passenger train was bombed by a car bomb, killing 14 people and injuring 20. And the absolutely devastating part of this is that a family of four, a mother, father, and their two children were also killed. And the loss was so huge that it not only tore the coaches of the train off the tracks, but also damaged cars in the vicinity because it was passing through the city at that time. It was sort of a shuttle train, and nearby houses were damaged, and many cars, as I said, caught fire. And it is absolutely devastating that it happened this way. Now, of course, there is a separatist movement going on in Balochistan and has been for quite a while, led predominantly by the Balochistan Liberation Army. But here's the interesting thing. The BLA is funded by India. Now, I say this because there is actually proof of this, because Pakistan actually arrested an serving Indian army officer, Kulbhushan Yadav, and he was arrested in Balochistan funding and training Baloch separatists. So we do know that this is an issue, and it has been a continuing problem. But coming today, literally within not even 24 hours of the memorandum of understanding that is in the works right now between Iran and the United States, facilitated by Pakistan and other countries, this attack on Balochistan, I can't help but see it as sort of linked, because we do know that India and Israel are very much on the same page. They are partners, they are allies, and India has had a foothold in this region for a very, very long time. There have been numerous incidents of terrorism in Balochistan in the past 10, 15 years, but today's particular attack could be independent of anything that's happening in West Asia, but we have to keep in mind that Pakistan is likely to face blowback from our enemies in the region, and we have India, which is clearly, absolutely, always has been hostile to Pakistan's interests and very resentful of the role that Pakistan has played in diplomacy and in mediation between Iran and the United States. And Israel, of course, is absolutely livid at the concept of any agreement being brokered between the United States and Iran, and really sees Pakistan as being the main facilitator of the mediation. And Pakistan has been. I mean, yes, this time when Field Marshal Asim Munir went to Tehran, he was also accompanied by Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi, but also a Qatari delegation was also present. But it is, when you look at the visuals coming out of that, when you see Field Marshal Asim Munir interacting with the Foreign Minister of Iran or interacting with other leaders in Iran, you can see that there is a rapport between them, that there is some kind of relationship that has developed between them. And Field Marshal Asim Munir, of course, has the trust of US President Donald Trump. And I will talk about it a little bit more, but one of the things where people are, of course, saying where's Pakistan's civilian leadership? Well, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif is currently on a state visit to China, where he has had an exceptionally welcome and warm reception, even though it was a bit cold and rainy today in Beijing. But that is why Shehbaz Sharif is not at the forefront of these negotiations right now. And Pakistan does have its own foreign policy interests and domestic interests to look after. So at any given point, the entire Pakistan leadership cannot be in Tehran at the same time. That's just not going to happen. Now, the worrying thing is that what was agreed upon in Tehran, and Tehran has pretty much come on board with all the points that were discussed. And this time round, it seems that the US government is not on the same page. Well, maybe not government, but definitely President Trump is under extreme pressure from his allies and Republican senators, and of course Israel. Now, let me read to you very briefly the post that President Trump put out on Truth Social after this agreement was, this MoU, because it's not a deal, it's not an agreement, it's not an accord. It's a memorandum of understanding. And he, of course, said that he's at the Oval Office, and he had a conversation with leaders of Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Prime Minister of Qatar, Field Marshals Munir of Pakistan, President Erdogan of Turkey, and Egypt, and Jordan, and Bahrain. And all of it concerned the situation, as he said, in Iran, related to the Memorandum of Understanding pertaining to peace in capital letters. And he said that an agreement has been largely negotiated, subject to finalization between the United States of America, the Islamic Republic of Iran, and various other countries as listed. So the scope of this MoU has been widened to other countries who have an interest in this region. And then President Trump went on to say that he also spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel, and he said that it went very well. Final aspects of the deal are currently being discussed and will be announced shortly. And at the end of this, inevitable that he has to add that one line that upsets everybody, the Strait of Hormuz will be opened. Now, I really wish President Trump would not make one-line blanket statements like that, because the phrasing on the Strait of Hormuz is a delicate subject. And so Iran's instant reaction was, no, that's not quite how it went. But anyway, there hasn't been a formal reaction from the Iran government or the negotiating team, which is now headed by Iran parliamentary speaker, Mr. Ghalibaf. But nothing came forth directly from him, but enough messages came out from semi-official news agencies of Tehran, Fars and Tasnim and Meher news agencies, who are all reporting extensively on what was going on. Now, here's where, President Trump sends out another post today on Truth Social. And I have to admit, it made me sort of go, whoa. And I'm going to read this to you, because it is important, and you have to hear it. One of the worst deals ever made by a country was the Iran nuclear deal put forth and signed into existence by Barack Hussein Obama and the rank amateurs of the Obama administration. Okay? It was a direct path to Iran developing a nuclear weapon. Not really. Not so with the transaction currently being negotiated with Iran by the Trump administration. The exact opposite, in fact. The negotiations are proceeding in an orderly and constructive manner, and I have informed my representatives not to rush into a deal, that time is on our side. I'm not sure where he's getting the time is on their side, but we'll come back to that as well. The blockade will remain in full force. Oops, wasn't that one of the conditions, that the Strait of Hormuz will be fully opened, which means that Iran and the United States both would take back their restrictions? I don't know. And the blockade will remain in full force and effect until an agreement is reached, certified, and signed. Both sides must take their time and get it right. Fair enough, I agree with that, but there can be no mistakes. I agree wholeheartedly. Our relationship with Iran is becoming a much more professional and productive one. Good to hear. They must understand, however, that they cannot develop or procure a nuclear weapon or bomb. I think they've said that lots of times, that they don't intend to. And then, of course, he goes on to say that he would like to thank all the Middle East countries, blah, 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 blah. And now here is the really weird part. He would like to thank all the countries of the Middle East for their support, and cooperation will be further enhanced and strengthened by their joining the nations of the historic Abraham Accords. And who knows, perhaps the Islamic Republic of Iran would like to join as well. Thank you for your attention to this matter. No, President Trump, nobody wants to join the Abraham Accords. And in fact, Senator Lindsey Graham literally putting out a tweet on X and implying that in some way that would be a precondition, or that the U.S. would be very upset if these named countries do not join the Abraham Accords, is a major spoke in the wheel. Abraham Accords, right now, at this time, when you are literally on the shakiest ground of a potential ceasefire. Why would you bring up the Abraham Accords at this time? A commentator from Saudi Arabia gave a stinging response to Senator Lindsey Graham. And it was just like, you think all these countries, 161 countries, have taken the position that Palestine has been illegally occupied by Israel. And you seriously think that these countries are going to join the Abraham Accords, which would which also includes Israel, by the way, and the United Arab Emirates. The UAE is like the only Arab country that has joined the Abraham Accords. That's a non-flyer. And for Senator Lindsey Graham to somehow link it to the MoU is, at this point, despicable. Absolutely despicable. And he's not the only one. And along with Senator Lindsey Graham, all the right-wing neocons of the U.S. administration going back I don't know how many decades have come crawling out of the woodwork. Even Mike Pompeo chimed in, and Ted Cruz and Lauren Loomer. I don't even know which category to put her in anymore. All of whom are going ballistic about this agreement because I guess they're just warmongers. That's what they want. They just want this war to continue. At this point, it seems that the United States are the ones that are kind of divided, right? Like President Trump is facing so much pressure from his own supporters, like they used to accuse Iran of having a fractured government between hardliners and those who wanted a deal, and now it seems that President Trump is facing that same problem. I was actually stunned to see U.S. Foreign Secretary Marco Rubio while in India. He said Iran would rather invest in rapists and murderers of Hamas and Hezbollah than their own people. How evil are they? Seriously? Seriously, Mr. Rubio? You're going to call the people of Iran evil while you're trying to sign an agreement with them? And this is why Iran gets incredibly wary of U.S. commitments and promises. Literally, less than 24 hours into the announcement of this MoU, Iran is already wondering how quickly the U.S. is going to backtrack on it. Literally. Hints and suggestions are not coming from official Iranian sources, but you're seeing it from people close to the Iranian government and Iranian leadership. And we still don't even know exactly what it is that the problems are occurring in. What we don't actually have the actual MoU that Iran has officially agreed to and the U.S. is now looking at, and President Trump, who said it was acceptable pretty much in that post that he sent out. Is he having second thoughts? There are a lot of things in there that I guess people are really upset about. For example, the number has been thrown around that $25 billion of frozen Iranian assets will be released to them to get this MoU moving forward. Again, I've talked about this before. That is an intrinsic confidence-building measure. You've got to put your money where your mouth is. And Iran is waiting to see what the U.S. is going to do. We need clarity on the Strait of Hormuz, whether President Trump understands that the opening of the Strait of Hormuz will be under Iran's control and Oman's control. Iran has made it very clear that it's not going back to February 27th, a day before the war. Iran is like, no, why should we? We now control the Strait of Hormuz. They have apparently, because nothing is set in stone, agreed to not charge a toll, but that they will decide who passes through the strait along with Oman. Now, that's pretty much how the way it was. It was an informal agreement prior to the war, and now Iran wants to formalize it. And the U.S. has to lift its blockade. The two things have to happen together. And so much more has come along. And then while I'm getting ready to record this show on Sunday night, Pakistan time, President Trump puts out an AI image on Truth Social which shows an Iranian boat exploding, fire everywhere, and the word adios. What are we supposed to make of that? Has he decided to tackle again? Has he chickened out under pressure from his own neocons and right-wing establishment and or Israel? It's absolutely unclear what is going on. Adios? And you're showing a boat exploding? Why wouldn't Iran suspect U.S. attention? You flip-flop back and forth. It's sort of interesting because earlier it was talked about that one of the things that American administration officials were telling Iran while the Pakistanis were there in Tehran during negotiations, don't look at President Trump's social media posts. It's irrelevant. Policy will be made here in these negotiations, not via Truth Social posts. Heard that rumor, and today the Fars news agency actually put it out, and said, we've been told to ignore those posts. Really? I don't know. I don't know what to say. And meanwhile, Israel shows no signs of backing off. You get a nice, tepid little tweet from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who at this point is on shaky ground after what his government did to the flotilla protesters. He sends out a nice, tepid tweet saying nothing at all. But Lebanon is going to be the sticking point. Israel absolutely does not want to give up what it has done in Lebanon, does not want to stop doing what it is doing in Lebanon, and Iran says ceasefire on all fronts, including Lebanon. And Israel seems to be taking this hiatus as an opportunity to do as much damage as they can. Every day, villages being emptied out of people, people who refuse to leave being killed. Gaza is coming under Israeli attack again. And today, Iran just said that they shot down a surveillance drone, an Israeli surveillance drone, in Iran's territory. Seriously? Israel, are you never going to accept the reality that this war that you started and pushed President Trump into, though I don't want to give President Trump that much of a break, but you did really push him into it with lots of lies. Are you not capable of understanding that you lost, that Iran beat you fair and square? There is absolutely no way the Arab countries and the Gulf countries are going to allow this war to restart, because the damage that they will sustain will be incomprehensible. Iran has made it very clear they're not going to carry on with this. Iran is actually murmuring that is this 30 or 60-day extension of where talks will continue and the nuclear deal will come up afterwards because it needs more time. Iran is still waiting for the other shoe to drop. They're fully prepared for another attack at any time. And that shows you the mistrust that is still prevalent. And it's not helped by putting out apocalyptic images and saying adios. Okay, I'll try to ignore the Truth Social post. But seriously, you have to unfreeze Iranian assets. It's not American money. Why don't Americans get this? It's not your money. It's not coming out of the taxpayer pocket. It's money that Iran was owed. It's Iran's money that has been frozen. And some level of sanctions have to be lifted. Without these measures, there is nothing from the United States except rhetoric, aggression, mixed signals, and nothing in hand. I will say this one more time. Confidence-building measures are going to be the way to go. It's been sort of interesting for me, looking at the body language of Field Marshal Asim Munir when he was in Tehran, when he's hanging out. I think I mentioned this before. There is a closeness between Iran and Pakistan on that level. Pakistan has done its best to exert whatever, I don't like to use the word pressure because I don't think it's pressure, but they're trying to push a point. If two people are being stubborn, then they're pushing, and they're pushing hard to try and get people on the same page. Obviously, not everybody is going to be happy. But it is absolutely unrealistic for the United States to keep going back to their maximalist positions and their rhetoric, and we're back to square one. I mean, this MoU that we're talking about right now, Pakistan has not officially released the MoU. They are incredibly tight-lipped. In fact, there has been no mention of this MoU except for Iran's ambassador to Pakistan thanking Interior Minister Mohsen Naqvi for sharing the news with him. So Pakistan has only shared that with the ambassador in Islamabad, but not with anyone else. Where and how far? I mean, this MoU literally was not too far from what was being discussed at the Islamabad talks. So what has all this been for? America keeps walking away, coming back, saying yes, saying no. How long is this brinkmanship going to go on? And when President Trump says that time is on their side, no, President Trump, it's not on anybody's side. Oil prices continue to rise. Fertilizer is not getting through. And so many other needs and necessities of the people around the world is stuck up because of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran probably has more time on its side than the rest of the world does. Though I shouldn't say that they are not suffering. They definitely are. Their revenues are down, their income is down, they haven't been able to sell their oil. And given that the American blockade also prevents ships going to Iran carrying necessities other than anything else, even those are stopped right now. So Iran has to be suffering. They are fairly consistent and united in their approach, and we see some videos coming out of the Iranian government which shows people out on the street celebrating the MoU. They want an end to the war, but they have made it very clear that it will not come at the expense of their sovereignty, their dignity, and their rights. As Foreign Minister Arachi once put it, we have our rights. They're our rights. You can't take those away from us. We need you to respect our rights. Iran is not going to back down from that position. You can talk to them about lots of things within the ambit of international law. And we're going to have to leave it there. So I'm signing out from here. If you haven't subscribed and liked and shared this video, I'm going to be sad. And what I would really appreciate is if you could write a comment in the comment section telling me what you think of the video and whether you agree or not. Bye for now.